Well, welcome, welcome, welcome to CSI, Creator's Source of Inspiration. Thank you so much for tuning in again. This is Getting Inspired and Discovering Your Light. Last time, we were talking about letting go through purging and how inspiration came to be through even purging in that art form of letting go. Well, today, we're going to be talking a little bit more about how inspiration can also come through letting go through tragedies. Yes, tragedies. And that inspiration will reveal itself from there as well. So today I have the most beautiful guest, Aldwyn Altuney, known as Media Queen TV. She's a host to the Media Queen TV. She's a speaker, a photojournalist, and an author. And with 39 years of media experience, her PR company, Xposé Media, guarantees results. She is very passionate about inspiring more good news into the mass media. And don't we need a lot of that? And to decrease the depression that has been going on and the suicide rates, and absolutely lift people's spirits. Please welcome us all. Aldwyn, thank you so much for being here, love.
Oh, thank you, Corinne. It's a real honor. I'm so excited to be here.
Which you don't know, she is from down under. So we are pre-recording this because our time frames are really off. Noontime Eastern Standard is a little rough for her, but she has something beautiful to share with everyone today. And so the very first thing, as all the guests I ask, Aldwyn, what is inspiration to you?
Great question. Inspiration to me is about being in spirit, as in being in flow with what you're here on the planet to do, to be, to have, etc. And it does start with the being. I do believe we are spiritual beings in human bodies. We are having a human experience. And so inspiration is about connecting with the spirit world, the super consciousness, the quantum field, the God energy that is within us and all around us. That's what inspiration means to me. And it's about being in flow, is about doing what you love and being the version of yourself, the best version of yourself that you can in the world, showing up as what you're meant to be doing. So that's about being on purpose. It's about loving what you do. And inspiration also is like you light your own candle and then you're able to light other candles with that inspiration. So it has a beautiful ripple effect on those around you as well.
Well, that is the total picture of inspiration. And that's why we really do call this creative source of inspiration, because it is that full, complete connection of us being the spiritual being. Do you find that difficult to be able to connect like that, to understand, to be inspired?
It's certainly been a challenge, yes, it has, over the years. And we were just talking about this actually before we started recording here today. And, you know, this has come from years of working in the media where it's been go, 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 go. And it's been a very masculine energy, very much in my head. And, you know, growing up with an engineer father, and he always said, you know, use your logic. It was always ingrained from a young age. Use your logic, use your brain, your heart will let you down, you know, all that kind of thing. And interestingly, my dad's actually had 4 heart attacks, would you believe? And he's shut down his heart over the years. And, you know, he's survived 4 heart attacks, survived prostate cancer, diabetes. He's 85 years of age. He's an absolute trooper and he keeps on going. You know, I really admire my father. He's extraordinary. And, you know, I rebelled against him for many years. And you know, working in the media from a young age, I actually appeared in the media first at age 10 for table tennis. as a young table tennis player, I was actually very angry with the world after watching a lot of negative news growing up. And I actually didn't want to be here for a long time. I was bullied as a child in Sydney, first generation Australian. I have Greek, Turkish and Ukrainian background, and all three countries were at war with each other at some point. And so I say my parents came together and I'm the love child, right? So I look at that now as a
There's inspiration right there.
yeah, fascinating mix of fun. And makeup sex is always fun too. So I think,
It's so true.
That's a great thing there. So yes, it's definitely been a challenge for me to tap into spirit, to center myself, to breathe through things that are going on. In fact, it's been a real conscious effort for me. And for 3 years, I actually did a lot of women's work. I was in a lot of women's circles, did a lot of yoga, did a lot of sort of womb work, that, energy work. And it's an ongoing process. It's something that, I think with everything in life, it's a journey, and my default way of being is definitely, fast speaking, go, and having been a radio host over the years, there's something called dead air in radio. So when you pause, when you speak in radio, that's a big no-no, because people think you've gone off air and they switch channels. And so it's quite an art form to do public speaking and pause, the power of the pause, as opposed to when I'm hosting a radio show or even an online TV show like this. I mean, people can see you, but then a lot of people will be listening to this and not necessarily looking at us. And so they may also think if we pause for too long that maybe we've gone off air. So I am conscious of that as well. However, I think really the trick is to be in flow as much as possible. And, you did a great breathing exercise with me just before we came onto this today, and that was fantastic. So I love what you did there. The breathing 101, absolutely gold to center myself and to connect with spirit.
Oh, that is absolutely fantastic. And it's true. See, everybody has all different forms of challenges, but that doesn't stop inspiration. That doesn't stop you tapping into inspiration. But what it is first you connecting into yourself enough that you have at least an inkling of awareness that you can do some changing. And it really is and can be that simple. And yes, the Breath 101 is the foundation of my book, of my systems, of my quantum energy protocols, because it's ancient, and it's ancient spiritual healing arts because it is the foundation, it is the source. And so we're always, when we can reconnect to source and slow down the chatter that comes at us from the outside, then we have the chance to start to see and become uplifted. And in that uplifting, we start becoming inspired. And as we become inspired and just work in that manner and behave in that manner, that alone starts inspiring others. So yes, it's about inspiring ourselves, but it's also, don't hoard it, don't keep it to yourself, share it. And share it by being the example. And that's why Aldwyn has this amazing challenge of the global good word. The exact title,
Good News
Aldwyn,
Challenge.
and a little bit that you want to tell them.
Yeah, the Global Good News Challenge. Well, this is something that I started through COVID because I started to see a lot of depression around me. I was hearing a lot of negative news, a lot more than normal. On the mainstream media. And, this was at a time in June 2020 when really COVID hit hard in Australia around March 2020. People were wearing masks, people were feeling very shut down, people were social distancing. And, I was hearing stories about during lockdown, like, for example, one weekend lockdown in Brisbane, 37 people suicided. I heard that from an inside source. 37 people in Brisbane suicided just one weekend of lockdown, right? And the stats are that through COVID, we've had 4 times the suicide rates. So the normal rates are normally about 1 million a year, 4 times that through COVID. And so we've had a massive mental health issue at hand. And so I thought, well, I want to do something about this. And, you know, as Gandhi says, be the change you wish to see in the world. It's one of my favorite quotes, be the change you wish to see in the world. So instead of whinging about all the negative media out there and saying, oh, the news is always so negative, I thought, okay, well, let's be the change and let's share some positivity. Let's share some gratitude. Let's look for the light among the darkness here. Right. And it's been a conscious effort. So I thought, okay, we'll start a good news challenge, very simple format. Just share your name, what you do, 3 things you're grateful for, and a piece of good news on a live video that you can do on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, whatever platform you choose, TikTok, and just hashtag Global Good News Challenge. We share the challenge out to thousands of people, and it's developed over time. We started out doing a 7-day challenge, a 14-day, 21-day. I played with different times for different months. We did a 5-day challenge. And then I thought for this year, well, let's just do a 1-day challenge for January. Let's just encourage people to get out of their comfort zone and get on camera and share themselves. And then a 2-day challenge for February, being the 2nd month, a 3-day challenge for March, etc. So we're right now in the 7-day challenge period for July. And we now have the format where people can start their challenge anytime within the month. However, it does have to be consecutive days. So 7 days in a row for July. If you miss a day, go back to day 1 and start again. So it's the discipline and the practice of not just considering what you're grateful for or writing down what you're grateful for, which are fantastic. When you actually share it, when you speak it out, it transpires on a whole other level. You know, it's inspiration next level. You know, when you share gratitude and you get into that space, what I find when I share my 3 gratitudes, I want to just keep going. Oh, I'm grateful for the sky, for the sun, for the birds, for the animals. I'm grateful to be here, for technology, for my friend. Like it's a beautiful thing that I just feel I just want to keep going. And this is the thing that, you know, we can either funnel up or we can funnel down. You know, it's like Dr. Hawkins' scale of consciousness. You know, we can spiral up or we can spiral down. And I've felt depression. I've had depression over the years. I've had 4 friends take their own lives by the age of 45. And this is why I'm so passionate now about good news in the world and sharing more good news. And let's turn what we consider to be negatives or challenges. Let's turn these dark moments and thoughts, let's turn them into light thoughts. Let's look at what are the learnings from this? Because I do believe everything happens for us, not to us. Everything happens for us, not to us. And so the sooner we get the lesson from whatever is going on, welcome it all, right? Welcome. It's all the roller coaster ride of life. Welcome it all. Welcome the ups, welcome the downs, because the downs, those low moments are there to teach you something. And what I've found as a journalist for many, many years, I've worked in TV, radio, print for over 20 years now, 39 years media experience, and it's been a wild ride. And what I've found in that time is it's been go, 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 and then crash, go, 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 crash. And the times I've crashed, I've gone into sort of depression, gone really tired. Sometimes I haven't felt like getting out of bed. You know, that I've been just totally exhausted, and it's just my body telling me to slow down. Slow down and breathe.
That's right. Exactly right. Take a little breath here. And
yeah.
the good news is that this is being aired on the 20th. So guess what? Everybody here hearing this gets to participate for 7 days, even for the month of July. So I hope you're inspired to do that. Of course, I'm going to have all the links right here available. Of course, I'm going to be having the replays here on the YouTube channel and everything. And please share this, because good news is important to put out there, and it is speaking it into existence, not just hanging on to it. And it is a very real, energetic, frequency, vibrational thing that actually can be measured, but we're not going to go into that part right now. And in the sharing as well, I'm going to bring up right now I'm asking the audience for you to also share an inspirational story that you would like to have aired. And I have a raffle going on about it. So every quarter, I'll be pulling a few stories with your permission. And come the end of the year, I will be in very full swing of my second book, which I'm not going to let the title out yet. My first one, you by now know, it's Let's Be Clear by Carj'an. But this one is going to be focused deeply into inspiration. And when you're selected, up to 3 stories, you will be published. And in that being published, guess what? You are out there reaching and inspiring so many people that you don't even know, and you help change lives. It is so powerful. And my last book, I had earth angels come in, and I had some amazing women share something important to them that they wanted to release out into the world. So please be a part of that. Of course, you're going to have more links there. But let's get back, Aldwyn, and thank you so much for sharing that, because it's so important for people to understand that beyond themselves, they have simple avenues that they can start inspiring others. Even if you don't necessarily feel inspired yourself, by putting out that good news, putting out the 3 things you're grateful for, from a physiological point of view, it kicks off endorphins, right? So all of you know by now, I'm all about every day, do a journal of 3 things that you're grateful for and speak out loud as you breathe the breath 101. So here is bringing it bigger for you to work with an avenue that is going to inspire you and make you feel amazing. Start your days feeling amazing, and then your heart opens up more and your perspectives open up more, and it's easier to see the more beautiful things in the life, and you're going to be part of it. So things happen in life. We're not saying everything's rosy. There are challenges. There is a roller coaster. It is an ebb and tide in life. It is a journey, a full process. It's not a destination. So in that, yes, tragedies can happen. And there was a story Aldwyn wanted to start to share about a tragedy that she recently had undergone, but what came out of it, and believe it or not, inspiration can come out of tragedy. So Aldwyn, would you like to share that with everyone?
Sure. Thank you, Karina. I will share that in just a moment. I just want to mention something more about the Good News Challenge very quickly, is that people can find the details on that in the Global Good News Challenge Facebook page. At the top, it says how to participate, and we will share your challenges to thousands of people. It's free marketing for you as well. And it's a beautiful ripple effect where you feel amazing, the people that see your challenge feel amazing, and we also have prizes and sponsors as well, which is awesome. So it's a win-win-win all round.
Well, that too.
Can't wait to see your Global Good News Challenges. So thank you for that. And thank you for participating in that, Karina. I've seen some of your Good News Challenges and love what you do. So, you know, it all helps. It all helps. You know, these big issues in the world that we think sometimes, gosh, how am I going to tackle depression? Or how am I going to tackle, 1 in 3 people have depression is the stats. How am I going to tackle the suicide rates? How do I tackle child sexual abuse? How do I tackle animal cruelty? It's one action at a time. It's one thing at a time. And it's about being the change. So to the challenge that I had, yes, in February, I was doing a workshop in Coffs Harbour, which is on the central coast of New South Wales in Australia. And I did a workshop on the Saturday called Open Your Mind to Flourish with a lady called Angelique Pellegrino, and she's a rapid transformation therapist. And it's a fantastic workshop. And the next day we went out 4-wheel driving on the beach with her son and his girlfriend. I'd never been 4-wheel driving on the beach before. We're having a great time. We must have gone about 1 kilometre down the beach from where you enter the beach right down to the end of the beach where there's this beautiful headland. And at the base of the headland is this lovely little creek that's actually very shallow. So when you step into the creek, the water only comes up to your knees, right? It's that shallow. And people sort of hop in this creek and they just stroll along, or they kind of just float along, really. They float down the creek, and at the end of the creek, there's a sandbank that normally stops you from going into the ocean. Right. And that's on sort of the side that's closer to where you get into the creek. However, I thought I'd go into the middle section of the creek. And so I was floating along because the tide was going out. I was floating along this creek, and next thing I know, and I actually had my eyes shut, I was just enjoying, it was a beautiful sunny day, floating along, and then suddenly this massive wave came over me. And it sucked me under, and then another massive wave, and the sand just fell away. It was like suddenly it went from shallow to being very deep, and the waves just kept going and kept going and kept going. And I just had to keep going with it, because if I fought it, I would have definitely lost my breath and I would have drowned for sure, without a doubt. And so I thought to myself, and I'm fairly confident in the ocean. I grew up near the beach in Manly area in Sydney. I live right near the ocean on the Gold Coast. I love swimming in the ocean. I have been caught in rips before. Now, with rips, what you know to do with rips is you go with it, and eventually it will come back around and bring you back to shore again. However, this time, this was not bringing me back around anywhere. This was sucking me right out to sea, and there were no surf lifesavers there. There was no boats. There was no one out here. This was deep sea, and I just kept getting sucked out, and the current was so strong. It just kept taking me and taking me and taking me. And next thing I know, I'm about 1 kilometre out to sea in deep, choppy waters. And this is an area known for sharks, right? It's known for sharks. And so I look back to the shore, and the shore was that far away at this point that the four-wheel drives were tiny in the distance. This is how far out I was. And I look back there, I thought, oh my God. And I was panicking in one way, I was panicking, but I knew not to fight it. I had to keep myself above water. I had to contain my energy. I knew not to panic. And at the same time, I was panicking. Right? I was dealing with my thoughts, my feelings. I was crying at one point. I was thinking, the thoughts were coming up for me about how I'd shared with people in the past that if I was to die, the ocean would be a great place to die, because I love the ocean. That I wouldn't mind dying in the ocean. And here I am, 49 years of age, out in the middle of the ocean, thinking, oh my gosh, have I just manifested this? Is this going to be my last day on the planet? I'm not ready to die yet. Right. All these thoughts were coming through my mind. And then I was praying. I was like, please help me through this. And, like so much was going on. I was breathing through it. Thank God I've done breath work. And I thought, just keep breathing. And meanwhile, I'm looking under the ocean and looking to see if there's any sharks, and thinking, what do I do if there's a shark that comes? And then I thought to myself, no, don't think about the shark. You know what I mean? Like the 60,000 thoughts a day, 60,000 thoughts a day we have. Oh my gosh. And, 95% are the same as we had yesterday, 80% negative for most people. And so I was very conscious to every thought I was having, to how I was feeling. I thought, just calm down, it'll be okay. Meanwhile, I'm getting taken further and further and further out to sea, and no sign of any help around. However, I did look back, and I saw the four-wheel drive that I came with my friends. I saw it speeding along the beach like this, going to the other side of the beach. And I thought, okay, great, they're going to get help, hopefully they're going to call for help. So I thought, okay, but then I thought, how long is that going to take? And meanwhile, what if a shark comes? And so I was dealing with all of that. And I just had to keep my head above water and keep breathing,
literally,
and keep breathing and let go. I had to let go. I had to let go of all control and just float in the ocean. I just had to keep going. And I was thinking of some of these movies I'd seen where people got lost out to sea, and I thought, so I thought anything could happen here. I just had to let go and trust that this was happening for me, which was exactly what we're talking about in the workshop the day before. Everything happens for you, not to you. I had to remind myself, this is happening for you, Aldwyn. Just let go. If you're meant to die, you're meant to die. You know what I mean? All these thoughts, dealing with that and managing my thoughts, and managing my breath through all this, keeping on breathing. That was the most important thing, staying alive, right? Staying alive. And I certainly wasn't singing the Staying Alive song, that's for sure, when I was out there, right? But it was absolutely terrifying. And then thankfully, after about an hour out at sea, and this is in the middle of the day, around 12 o'clock. Thank goodness it wasn't on sunset, because that's when the sharks go feeding. Thank goodness it wasn't in the dark, because it would have been very hard for them to find me. Thank goodness I look back at the headland and I see this surfer on a longboard coming out towards me on this longboard, and I thought, oh, thank God there's help coming. And then I tried to hop on the longboard when the guy came to me, a guy called Shane, who actually used to be a lifesaver at that beach, but he was just there with his family, just holidaying for the day. So it just happened they found this guy who came up to the end of the headland, came out to me. So I tried to hop on the board and I fell back in, and then he almost fell in as well. Right? In this, and he said, oh gee, it is very choppy out here today. He says, it's not normally like this, or not that bad. And so eventually I managed to get on the board, and he said, just lie down, because he'd been alive. So he said, just lie down on the board. And then before long, two jet skis came up. There was a father and son pair who were right down the other end of the beach. My friend Daniel Pellegrino, the son of Angelique, he managed to find these two jet skis right up the other end of the beach. That the guy, it was a father-son pair who hadn't been at that beach for over a year. And that morning, they decided to go to that beach. They thought, let's go to this beach today. And it was just my luck that they were there, because there were no lifesavers. You know, the police and the ambulance, as I found out later, were on the shore. But what are they going to do? They're just waiting there for me to come out. And thank goodness, then I went to hop on one of the jet skis, and then I almost tipped that one over too, because I was so panicked. And so they had to sort of help me up. They had to push me up onto the jet ski. And my first question was, are there sharks out here? You know, and he said yes. So, you know, eventually we went back to shore, and at the minute I got my feet back on the sand, my girlfriend Angelique came to me. I hugged and I just bawled. I was just so grateful to be back on land. And you know, you don't realize until something like this happens that, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful to have my feet on land, back on the earth. I just felt so stable. I felt thank goodness I've survived that. It was absolutely horrifying ordeal. And what I found out later is that 26 people had drowned on New South Wales beaches up until that weekend, which is a record number of drownings that they'd ever had in New South Wales in Australia for that summer period up until that weekend. And in fact, that particular weekend, 4 people drowned. So I could easily have been number 5. I could have easily been number 20. And thank goodness for all the work I've done, right? Thank goodness I knew not to fight the waves. I knew to go with it. Thank goodness for the breath work I've done. Thank goodness for all the mindset work I'd done, which was still a challenge. Even though I've done so much mindset work, I was conscious of my thoughts, right? And I think this is the big trick, is to get conscious where we may be unconscious sometimes, because a lot of these thoughts that we have, we're just actually not thinking about the thoughts we're having. We're just having the thoughts, right? And so it was absolutely, I think in many ways, a miracle that I survived that. I immediately the next day I got onto media about it. I got onto Channel 7, Channel 9, ABC, local media, and I said, look, there is nothing here on this beach with any warning signs about this. And in fact, I looked online, and at Boambi Beach was the area. On the council website, it said it was a safe area for children to swim. Where I was, a safe area for children to swim. And so straight away after that, as I got onto the media, they then got onto council, and immediately the council took that off their website, and they said there's a strong current, be careful in this area. I'm not sure yet if they've actually put up a warning sign there yet in that area. However, now, thankfully, from me surviving that, hopefully I've help some others with beach safety, because it's a big issue here in Australia. We get a lot of tourists that come here, and they get taken out with rips and they fight it. They're fighting against the waves. And of course, what happens, they run out of breath and they die when you fight against the waves. And this is such a great analogy for life. How often are we fighting what is happening in our lives? We're fighting the circumstances. We're fighting what's going on. We're trying to swim against the tide instead of just go with it. Trust that everything's in divine order. Trust the journey. Go with that wave. Ride that wave. Go back out, ride another wave. There was so much there, but particularly the biggest lesson was around letting go, let flow, let God, let go and let go, let flow, let go, And let God is another saying, right? Let go, just let go, trust that everything is in divine order. And that was just one of the learnings. There was also learning there around teamwork. I thank goodness I had friends back at the shore. If I was out there on my own, God knows what would have happened. You know, I could have been lost for days. I could have easily, anything could have happened, right? So thank goodness, because there was no point even for me even having a go at swimming back to, it was there was, the current was so strong that even if I tried to swim back to shore, I would have run out of breath. It was just, you just had to go with it. There was no other option. And so there was a great lesson there about teamwork. There was a great lesson there about, you know, do your due diligence in an area before you go there generally, right? Maybe have a feel for the area before you go floating along, you know, into the ocean. It was one hell of a ride. And thank goodness that, you know, that in some ways, you know, thank goodness it was me and not my girlfriend, Angelique, or Daniel's girlfriend, Chantel at the time. They both said to me when I came back to shore, they said, if that was them that got caught out, they definitely would have drowned. They wouldn't, there's no way they would have survived that. And so thank goodness it wasn't them, right? Thank goodness it wasn't someone's child.
Absolutely. And here's the thing, even though that was such a frightening and tragic thing to happen, the universe took that and then brought in the elements to turn around and save you from any full-on tragedy, because you did let go and you did trust. And with that, the surfer shows up. With that, a father-son shows up on jet skis, you know, no police, no ambulance, none of that going on. That ordinarily, okay, that would be the typical way that you would expect the help. So you got the help very unexpectedly, outside of the box, as it were. And that's what the universe does for us. As long as we can stay in a position of let go, let God, trust, use all the tools that you've been given, that you've learned, understand that you have them for a reason. And yes, you're going to go through all the human emotions of that situation. It's not going to be wonderful and easy and oh, la, la, la. It just can't be. But look what comes out of that. And then on top of it, you had the good sense to turn around and immediately get on the medias and warn everybody. And in that warning, any child, any other adult that went into that area, potentially you just saved them, because the universe saved you.
Yes.
And they saved the right person too, obviously, because you had no problem go out there and tell them, hey, look at it, guys. This is wrong.
Exactly. When I arrived to shore, actually, the police and ambulance were there taking notes. The ambulance checked me over and they said, look, our biggest concern is that you've taken in water. And so they checked everything. I seemed okay. They said, you don't need to go to the hospital. They sent me a bill for $860 for that, right, which was insane. And, you know, with Queensland, New South Wales, I didn't end up paying that because the ambulance here, they have an arrangement. However, you know, tourists would probably come along and they'll get hit with a big bill from an ambulance, which they didn't even call I didn't even call the ambulance because I was out at sea. But because someone called the ambulance, that kind of thing can happen and can really add to it, right? And you think, oh my gosh, well, they didn't give me the bill straight away, but I got it sent in the mail, interestingly, after that situation. But really, they did nothing. They just took a few notes and they checked me over. I was fine. And I was a bit in shock, obviously, but I hadn't taken in much water or anything because I managed to keep my head above water. As the
expression goes, and literally. So there's so many levels of what that all did and what that all brought. And so to understand, you know, life is not going to be all kumbaya and a piece of cake and the tra-la-las. Stuff happens, but what do you do when it does? And so it is about connection. All of a sudden, Aldwyn, you start to hear your thoughts. You started to self-regulate what was
Yes.
happening with you, which kept your head above water, literally, that saved your life. So here's a big tip, folks. Practice certain things that you resonate when things are good, because it's easy to start to develop a beautiful discipline, because sooner or later you're going to need to pull some tools out of that box to help yourself. And there are so many. Just look around, be inspired by somebody who speaks to you. I hope you're inspired to come into the Global Good News Challenge. Of course, everything is going to be listed underneath this video with all the connections, so you'll have all your information. But please start to share good news out there. Start to share this inspirational talk show. Start to share the things you're grateful for. Share it with yourself. Start saying it out loud. Start doing a journal on a daily basis. Life happens. It is a journey. We experience all these different things. And so we want everyone to flourish and to light up and bring more beauty back into this world. And the way to do it, forget about trying to tackle everything. Just come inside and work on yourself, because then you start to radiate as a beacon for others. It really, truly is that simple. And it is that powerful. This is what we want you to know and understand, even through tragedies. Look at the amazing things that opened up. For all the people that Aldwyn touched by sharing her story, getting out on the media to put the warnings out there on top of it. It's not just about warning about an area. It is about the self-regulation. Come into the consciousness, use the skill sets that you have. So with all that in mind, any last closing statement? Because I love to keep it as best as I can to 30 minutes for the people, because they're taking their break and we want to inspire them and be charged up and continue on their day.
Thank you, Karina. Yes, absolutely. Final thought on that one is keep breathing. Keep breathing. That's the trick to life, no matter what is going on. And notice how you're breathing, right? That's where you're an expert. Notice how you're breathing, and always look for what you can be grateful for in any situation. And I look back at my life. I think there's times I've been ripped off, I've been conned, I've been lied to, I've been cheated. And, there is such a thing as karma. And the thing is that hurt people. And so I send love to those people now, and I'm much more discerning about who I give my trust and my love to now. And I am grateful for everything. And I'm a lot more working with my intuition now, which is something that the more I quiet myself, the more I center myself, the more I do things like yoga and breath work, the more I come into my spirit space. And the more I tap into that, I know my ancestors are here supporting me. I've had ancestors who have died, in fact, being killed for stepping up. I had great-grandparents were kulaks in Ukraine. They were hung for having a big farm when Stalin came in. My granddad ran away from Ukraine because he was now speaking up against the government. They were coming to kill him as well. He ran away to Turkey, met my dad's mum, who was Greek, hence the Greek Turkish Ukrainian background. And so with all that in my ancestry, and knowing that we carry 14 generations of DNA, I am so grateful for my ancestors supporting me and helping people step up and speak up. And that's sharing all the ups, the downs, everything in life is absolutely perfect. Everything has brought you to this point right now. My biggest thing out of all of it, be grateful for what you have, for all the ups and downs, for all the learnings, and keep breathing.
Oh, Aldwyn, thank you very much. And yes, that also brings up many stories of my generations and the revolutions and all this stuff, but those stories are for another time. Right now, we just want to thank you. We want to wish you many, many blessings, Look around you, be inspired. Know that you are an amazing being, and we are here to help and support you whenever we can. So please connect to the links, connect to Aldwyn, connect to myself. We thank you so much for being here today, and God bless.
Thank you so much, Karina. Lots of love. See you again soon.
Lots of love.